If you're ready to explore the Hebrew roots of your Christian faith, then grab your Bible and let's get started. Shalom and welcome back to Tuesday night Torah Studies. I'm so glad that whoever is able to join me on this day, on this premiere, I'm thankful. And those, of course, that will be joining me on the replay. I know this has been a very warm week for many of us, and I'm thankful for today that the AC is working. So all of you that most definitely have made it this far in the book of Exodus with me, congratulations. Because most people become bored, lose interest after reading about the Exodus experience, most definitely after reading about the 10 commandments, the 10 words. Some people just don't make it this far in their studies, especially verse by verse and digging into the word. Now, there are people who make it through the entire Bible in a year and they're following some reading plan. I mean, that's good if that's your choice, but many come out without comprehending, no understanding of what the word is saying. So, if you have been with me on this journey from the beginning of Exodus, drop me a message in the comment box with a nice emoji. If you've been on this journey with me, a smile or whatever that you choose. Now, if you are new to the channel and you're just now getting started, you can just let us know that you're just getting started and that you hopefully plan on going and catching up with us. Because we must understand that the word of Elohim is his son, the written word that we are reading. John 1:14 says, the word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one, the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. Remember, when you're reading the Torah, the prophets, the writings, you're reading about the word that became flesh, Yeshua. Welcome to Reconcile the Kingdom. We're working towards growing in the harmony of the whole word of truth. My name is Patrice Robinson. I greatly appreciate, again, those who are able to join me on this live premiere and those who will be joining me on the replay. Take the moment, as always, thanking all returning subscribers for your support that you give to this ministry, that you join into this family and you joining me on this journey. I appreciate it. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for sharing the links. Thank you for giving me that thumbs up. I greatly appreciate that. So keep doing the work so that we can grow this ministry of teaching the nations the biblical doctrine without the dogma of men. For all new subscribers, welcome. Welcome to the family. Just join in the things that we do for that I spoke about, the returning subscribers. You must definitely share this with your friends and loved ones. There's nothing better than giving someone the truth as a gift. Once again, thank you for joining me on this journey. For our visitors, welcome. Welcome to Reconcile the Kingdom. I'm hoping that you at this moment that you're ready to join this family. Ready to join this family that does not mind challenging the religious system teachings that we have been under for hundreds of years. Those things that we have thought was true was not true because the Gentiles inherited lies. So we are searching the scriptures every Tuesday and also on Shabbat, which is Saturday, the Sabbath day. We are searching the scriptures and we are lifetime students of the Bible. This is what we have committed ourselves to. And working towards being that special word, bond servant, if you're not already, and a family that's ready to explore the Hebrews of your Christian faith. And you can do all this easily and join this family by hitting the subscribe button below. Don't forget the bell because the bell lets you know when I'm live, any announcements or any updates that come from this ministry. I do know I have been making some on the back end, some changes and doing some things. So I have not been on YouTube, the videos that I normally do, 5 days a week or 6 days a week. But I will get back to doing those things because I actually joined TikTok. And I'm trying to keep up with everything. So join me in this journey that I'm going as far as growing the ministry. And it all comes from you, the viewers, the supporters, the families that share the links, all of them. That's the way you support the ministry. Giving a thumbs up. That's the way you support the ministry. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Spotify, YouTube, podcast, and now TikTok, I should say. We're on there too as we are moving forward. And of course, you can support the ministry monetarily by purchasing the workbooks that I use as I use on this channel. The worksheets, because there's workbooks, so there's worksheets, there's scripture wall art that you can purchase, or you can just give a love donation in the cash app that's available to you in the description. So these are all the ways that you can support the ministry. You can pray about it, ask the Father which way that you want to do it, whatever you need to do. But remember, the ministry cannot go further without the people, without the support of the people. So you can take a look at all that again in the description box in your own timing. It is available to you. You can pray about your direction, your footsteps, and acknowledge the Father in all your ways. Now, don't forget, at the end of today's teaching, you have an opportunity to ask questions about what is presented to you today. I encourage making respectful comments, whether you agree or not. I encourage sharing the link throughout the teaching. And of course, don't forget that thumbs up as we continue on. Anytime you're getting some insight, anytime you're learning something, most definitely give a thumbs up. Now, make sure you have your Bible before you. Hopefully you purchased the Exodus workbook and that you're working through the workbook along with me. So you should be like on page number 30. I don't know. I don't think the page number is on there, but with all the check-ins and all those type of things should be about page 30. But you should have your workbook or a piece of paper or the worksheet, pen all that in front of you, because what are we doing? We're testing what I'm sharing with you. So we have began with chapter 21 last week. And so we went through verse 1 through 11. So I'm going to share my sheet for that. It's just not that much on there because we just went through 11 verses in that entire teaching last week. And that was a lot in there. But of course, I encourage you to go deeper because there's more in there. So we basically kind of discussed the Hebrew slavery. That's what we talked about. And it's really not slavery in the sense that we know about here in America. Because remember, the Hebrewites most definitely understand what slavery is. They came from Egypt, where slavery was mistreatment, it was degrading, it was permanent, it was horrible. Okay, so that what it was in Egypt. So we speak of slavery verses 1 through 11, like we talked about. This is selling oneself to pay off debts. You know, you're able to do that when you're in debt to pay things off. So this is 6 years of serving. The seventh year, you're free. You have an opportunity to be a bond servant, which meaning a servant of permanent, because you love the master, the one that you were serving, because he treated you so well. And he's giving you a family, all those type of things, and you can stay with him. So that's opportunity. So slavery under servitude under Yehovah's instructions is not oppressive like it is in Egypt and what we have um, witnessed in America and other places. So these are the issues that we're finding in just verse 1 through 11. And again, this is about finding that slavery issue that happened and was a punishment. You know, in Egypt, it was horrible. So that is all I really want to share because there's so much more that we are going to go through with the rest of 21. I have a word study judgments because remember, these are the cases that are presented to the judges, and this is how you are supposed to judge according to these cases. These are cases that has a resolution to it, instruction by the Father that the judges have to uphold. So what we have before you is also my cross reference, and I will leave this up for a moment to give you opportunity to share your thoughts, make comments for this lesson so far. So let me not forget to remove the sheet because I seem to forget that part at times. So once again, we are in Genesis chapter 21. And so now we have came from servitude, verses 1 through 11 and 21. And now we're moving towards what we call personal injury. These again, cases presented for the judges, and this is how they're supposed to judge it. Verse 12, he that smiteth a man so that he die shall be surely put to death. And if a man lie not in wait, which means it wasn't premeditated, but Elohim deliver him into his hand, then I will appoint thee a place whether he shall flee. But if man come presumptuously upon his neighbor to slay him with gall, thou shalt take him from my altar that he may die. So that might seem like a strange passage for you. How would the Father deliver someone in an accidental death? You know, remember that we are going to have these issues on this side, in this time, in this age. It will happen. If you go through the time, death does happen. So we can't run from it, okay? But remember, way back in Genesis 9 and 6, this is what the Father said: whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Elohim made he man. So we're back to expanding on thou shalt not murder, back in Exodus 20:13. So this is again expanding on that. But I want to take us back to, then I will appoint thee a place where he shall flee. So many of you have been with me for a while. We have went through the book of Joshua, and we went through what we call the cities of refuge. So although the Father has not spoken about these cities, he's already speaking of them as it is going to happen. He is letting them know there's going to be a place for you to go. And we won't find that out until we get to Numbers, Numbers 35, verses 9 through 12. It says, Elohim spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Israel, saying, when you cross the Jordan to the land of Canaan, you are to select cities which will be cities of refuge, to which one might flee if he has killed someone by accident. So that's manslaughter. There are to be cities for refuge from the avenger, so the manslayer may not die before standing trial before the assembly. There will be a trial. So he stays in the city until that happens. The 6 cities you designate are to be your cities of refuge. Designated 3 cities on this side of Jordan and 3 in the land of Canaan as the cities of refuge. So there are 6 cities where someone who accidentally kills someone can run to and wait until there's a trial. Again, we see Joshua actually putting that in place in Joshua 21 through 3. And I let you take a look at that at your own timing, because again, we have went through this through the book of Joshua. Verse 15. And he that smiteth his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. Expanding more on honor your mother and father. Exodus 20. Remember the 10 commandments, they're there. So as you see, we have the 10 and we expanding more and more on those areas and additional areas as we continue on through the book of Exodus. Then we have Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and it all connects all the way to Revelation. Deuteronomy 21, 18 through 21, it says, suppose a man has a stubborn and rebellious son who does not listen to the voice of his mother and father. They discipline him, but he does not listen to them. Then his father and mother are to grab hold of him, bring him out to the elders of the city, to the gate of his place. They shall say to the elders of his city, this son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He does not listen to our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. All he does is eat and drink all day long. And all the men of his city are to stone him with stones to death. So we will purge the evil from the midst, and all Israel will hear and be afraid. So here, the scripture is referring to an adult man who is living in the home and not honor his mother and father. So it was not well known, I'm pretty sure in the Bible days, and especially in the olden days, that children are disrespectful to parents. But we find that happening more and more often. This is continuing to grow as a problem. Now, the father would take care of them on their own, but the parents do have responsibility on teaching our children how to respect their elders, how to respect their parents, how to respect teachers, all those type of things, and still have self-respect on their own. There's a way to do that. And you have to make sure you're in tune to the Holy Spirit on how to raise the children, because it can become a very challenging thing. Verse 16, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. And he that curseth his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. You should not steal. That's one of the commandments again. And then we see another one, honor thy mother and father. Expanding more on that. Now, Stealeth a man and selleth him is what we see that was happening in many of the American and other areas of slavery. We still see that today with human trafficking, sex trafficking. All this is still going on today. So you're not supposed to be kidnapping and stealing someone and taking the person and against their will, basically, and selling them. You're stealing a man or woman. And we do see this happening in Genesis 37 when Joseph, his own brothers, kidnapped him, steal him basically from his father and his mother at that time, his stepmother. Well, I don't even know they call them stepmothers, but steals him and sells him into slavery to the Ishmaelites. Um, and then he ends up in Egypt as a slave, basically a permanent slave, because he died in Egypt. His bones is what came out of Egypt. In Deuteronomy 24:7, it says, if a man be found stealing any of his brethren of the children of Israel, maketh merchandise of him and selleth him, then that thief shall die, and thou shalt be put the evil away from among you. So it's not trying to think of people as property in that sense, but you're still stealing, you're kidnapping, you're taking a person against their will. So those are the things that is not of the will of the Father. Slavery of oppression and killing, all this mistreatment is not the idea that the Father has for servitude. And you will continue to learn more of how God's people, people of Yehovah, who's believing in the Messiah, who's going on his word, understand that we are supposed to respect one another. We are supposed to love ourselves and love our neighbor. We are supposed to uphold those things of Yehovah. And how do you love yourself and mistreat and steal people against their will and sell them? How do you love yourself? Again, we talked about evil things that Jehovah does not like. So we in Saturday Sabbath teaching, we talked about Proverbs 6, where we talked about 6 things that Jehovah hates, 7 things that are detestable: the haughty eyes, lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, heart that devises wicked schemes. So when you are stealing someone and you selling them, you are wicked. Beat the rust swiftly to evil. This is evilness. A false witness who gives false testimony, and one who stirs up discord among brothers. So we have to keep in mind about the things that the Father does not like. Verse 18. And if men strive together, and one smite another with a stone or with his fist, and he die not, but keepeth his bed, meaning he's confined in his bed, if he rise again and walk abroad upon his staff, then shall he that smite him be quit clear. Only he shall pay for the loss of his time, and shall cause him to be thoroughly healed. Pay for the medical recovery and for his lost time. And if a man smite his servant and his maid with a rod and die under his hand, he shall be surely punished. Notwithstanding, if he continue a day or two, he shall not be punished, for he is his money. So let's read this in a different version, because it's a lot of words, and it can be, when you sometimes the King James version become difficult. So I'm going to read it in a different version for you. I think this is the Tree of Life version. If people quarrel and One strikes the other with a stone with his fist, and the other dies not, but lies in bed. If he rises again and walks around on his staff, then the one that struck him, he will be cleared. But he must pay for the loss of his time and help him to be thoroughly healed from that injury. If a man strikes his male or female servant with a staff, who dies by his hand, he must surely be punished. Notwithstanding, if a servant gets up in a day or two, he should not be punished, for he is his property. So, this is called compensation for injury of a person. This is what we're talking about. So, if you have an altercation and injure someone and he's confined in his bed, once you know that he's alive and he's up walking around, you in the clear. You in the clear for no murder, no manslaughter, or anything like that. Okay. However, if he is to pay for compensation for the time he lost, and you have to make sure that he fully recover. You take care of all that. Now we have a man who has servants, and he harmed his servants by striking them with the rod, and he dies. The servant dies. That person who owned the servant, because he was working for him, must be punished because you done killed someone off of what you did. Now, if that servant is back up in 1-2 days, there was a harm, but he didn't die, you don't get punished. That's the way it goes. And I know that it's hard sometimes for us to fully understand, which we will continue to understand more of this. We feel like what the commandments that the Father has put in place, there's something wrong with them. He's teaching you to love and respect people. Love and respect people. So if this was your servant, which means that that person came into covenant with the Father still is going to watch out for him. Verse 21. If a man strive and hurt a woman with a child, so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall be surely punished, according as the woman's husband's will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. And if any mischief follow, then they shall give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. If a man fights with a woman that's pregnant and she loses, she has a miscarriage or maybe a premature birth, the person has to pay a fine according to what that husband demands. Now, first, we must ensure that the woman and child is both okay. The judges are to judge based on that information. Now, the husband may request this, whatever, and the judge is the one who's going to be able to determine how much, what it should be done. This has to happen, but you have to make sure that there was no later result from this incident that happened for the mother or the child. So that's why you said, and if mischief follow, so something can develop later on based off that injury. So eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, blow for blow. In other words, this is making sure that there's no excessive punishment. It's equal consequence to the crime that was committed based on the judge's judgment. So the judge has to be honest and just judgment. That's just important. You can't pay them off. You shouldn't be paying them off. Verse 26. If a man smite the eye of his servant or the eye of his maid, that it perish, he shall let him go free for his eye's sake. And if it smite out his manservant tooth or his maidservant tooth, he shall let him go free for his tooth's sake. If a person strikes a servant, he lose an eye or a tooth, male or female, you're to leave. Let them go free. Because again, we need to understand loving people who's coming into your home, just like Abraham. All of his servants came into covenant. That's the same that we're doing. Their servants are coming into covenant. So you're not being wicked and harming and destroying your own property. You're not destroying your own future or your children's future by harming the servants, because this is the way you make the money. All righty. We talked about Hebrew slavery. We talked about personal injuries, and compensational personal injuries. But now we're going towards personal injury by animals. So we have to understand that we're also responsible for our animals. Verse 28. If an oxen gore a man or woman, that they die, then the ox should be surely stoned, and his flesh should be eaten. But the owner of the ox shall be quit, meaning cleared. But if the ox were wont to push with his horn in time past, and it had been testified to his owner, and he had not kept him in, because there's a history there, but that he killed a man or a woman, the ox shall be stoned, and the owner shall also be put to death. If there be laid on him a sum of money, then he should give for the ransom of his life whatsoever is laid upon him, whether he have gored a son or gored a daughter, according to this judgment shall it be done unto him. If the ox shall push a manservant or maidservant, he shall give unto their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. So this is injury by an animal. Now the animal has to be stoned if a man or woman is killed and you are not allowed to eat the meat. You know what I'm saying? You're not allowed to eat that because it's a clean animal that you can eat. Now, if there's something that happened in the past, you've been warned about this animal and you've done nothing about it, someone dies. So now the owner and the ox must be killed. Now, again, you had someone come and tell you this is what's going on, and you didn't listen and you did nothing about it. Now, there's a chance. The Father's giving you a chance that you as a person can be redeemed. This could be settled with money. It's possible that the person can say, just give me this amount, whatever, and then it's done. Now the ox still have to be stoned, and they can pay. And if, of course, the manservants or a maidservant or a manservant is killed, they have to pay, and then that ox is still stoned. So we're not finished with this. Verse 33. And if a man shall open a pit, or if a man shall dig a pit and not cover it, and the ox or an ass has fallen therein, the owner of the pit shall make it good. Give money until the owner of them, and the dead beast shall be his. So the one who dug the pit has opportunity to still to make it right by paying the person who owns the animal and that dead beast becomes him. So whatever he decides to do with that dead beast, like for oxen, he can eat it. 35. Can he eat it? Because that's an accidental death. No, you can't eat an animal that dies of itself. Exodus 35 and 36. And if one man's ox hurts another that he died, then they shall sell the live ox and divide the money of it, and the dead ox also they should die. Or if it be known that the ox have used to push in time past, remember, to gore, his owner hath not kept him in, he shall surely pay an ox for an ox, and the dead shall be his own. So an ox against an ox, they're fighting. Okay. And one of them dies. And so you can sell the one that lives, split the money, and also split the one that is dead. So you can divide that. So now you have money and food split 50-50 between the two owners. Now, if the ox has been pushed in the past, again, that's pushing in the past, doing the goring, being aggressive, all those behaviors that they could have acknowledged and taken care of in the past, and they ignored, the owner loses because the dead one becomes his, and that live one becomes the other owner that lost. So, in other words, you are responsible not only for your own behaviors, you are responsible for the behaviors of your animals. If your animals having problems with aggressively going after people, all those type of those things must be taken care of as an owner, because you end up in a judgment because you did not address those things. So that goes for us today. It's not only for back then, it goes for today. Now, I don't see any questions at all. Don't forget, you have the opportunity to send those questions to me in the comment box. Emailing, I do respond to those, but you don't know if someone else need that information. So the preference is for all the comments, all the questions that you have, not come through the email. It goes through the description box of that teaching so that you can help someone else. This is the way we grow as a family, way we grow as a community, as we learn from one another, because not one person has all the answers. Now, we just completed Exodus chapter 21. So that means next week we will be in Exodus chapter 22. But I want you to join me as we continue through the book of Acts on Sabbath day, on Shabbat, which is Saturday. And there's so much in Acts to learn, especially when we get the understanding of what church is and what that means. And understanding that it did not begin in Acts chapter 2. As always, man does not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yehovah. I appreciate and thank you for joining me on today. I pray that you have a blessed rest of the week and that you join me at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. So don't leave here without hitting that subscribe button if you have not, or give me a thumbs up and letting me know where you are from, what city, what state, or what country that you're from. I want to hear from you. May Yehovah bless you.